Georgetown's stress culture is a culmination of expectations from clubs, pre-professionalism, remaining active and fit, taking challenging courses, and maintaining a thriving social life as well as a high GPA. These ideals and expectations, placed by the university and by its own students, create a normalized sleep-when-you're-dead stress culture. At the same time, all around campus, we can see an increased presence of mental health awareness and self-care language, especially in the midst of midterm season. Georgetown provides many services under their counseling and mental health service program in order to help students deal with the overwhelming stresses in their lives. This is similar to humanitarian aid discussed in Michael Barnett's Empire of Humanity, The History of Humanitarianism. Although technically Georgetown is not going across borders like humanitarianism is defined as, it does exemplify the paradoxical nature of humanitarianism. The addition of the new club fare, or cab fare, for clubs that are open and have no applications or interviews exemplifies the university going beyond its call of duty to its students. This step shows that the university cares about the stress derived from club culture and is willing to implement a new fare in order to break down the idea that only the prestigious clubs are the ones worth applying for. Second, the various stall seat journals around campus that talk about self-care, finding healthy habits that help one de-stress and recenter, and spending time with friends and off campus to relieve stress are examples of the transcendental significance of humanitarianism. It reminds us of our humanity and how connected we are as human beings because we are inherently flawed and all require care. According to Barnett, it's the desire to demonstrate and create a global spirit. The message is spread university-wide and reminds students that they are not alone in their sufferings or struggles. Finally, the modern and progressive aspect of humanitarianism is demonstrated through CAPS, the Counseling and Psychiatric Services, as well as the off-campus therapy stipend to fund longer-term help. Like Barnett says, this is an example of Georgetown accepting responsibility for its citizens, or in this case, students. The contradiction here is not only that Georgetown, who created and implemented the student health services, is a large contributor to the stress culture that the health services tries to tackle, but also that it is a source of funding for the services themselves. Like Barnett's chapter says, humanitarians often need the cooperation of the very groups that are responsible for the suffering itself. This creates more issues. First, because the institution itself is facilitating the very thing the student health services is trying to tackle. And second, because the student health services are largely dependent on the university for funding. The consequences of this paradox is seen in CAPS. Although the intention is good and it has reached many people, there have been complaints of waiting weeks for the first appointment, largely due to understaffing. Furthermore, because it is a short-term option, if those who have issues that require consistent help need to go off campus, it can be time-consuming from the commute and costly as well. So what can Georgetown do to ensure that it lessens its paradoxical nature regarding mental health and academic excellence? First, if it truly wants to tackle stress culture and its effects on a student's mental health, then the funding must demonstrate it. Creating various programs to tackle different issues is a cursory attempt if the funding is not enough to be effective and long-lasting. Second, it must reflect on its own contribution to the culture itself. Namely, does academic excellence and grooming for the professional world need to be measured by the quantity of courses one takes, the steep number of core requirements students in each school has to take, and the quantity of clubs one is a leader in? And does their call to being a well-rounded individual who serves others and their community pressure students to prioritize everyone else but themselves?